on the flip side, Jay, you notice how the graphic got a lot darker? Got gloomy. It looks like hell. There's a bulldog there. Rough. He's on the leash. I know they won. Obviously, Georgia roughed up on Texas. It had nothing to do with Carson Beck, though. I think that, and this guy, we haven't gotten into our, spotlight yet for the 2025 draft. But when we get, if we get into Carson Beck, I'm going to light him up because his draft stock has fallen immensely. I mean, we're talking maybe 2 rounds. From the start of the year where he was in the conversation with Shedeur and a lot of the could this guy be a top 5 pick, top 10 pick? Now it's laughable. Fucking look at 41 attempts, 175 yards, 3 picks, not giving you anything on the ground. He's not mobile. So 4 carries, 8 yards? That's a joke. Throughout the year, I mean, his stats are decent, but I mean, for the weapons he has and in being at Georgia, you think they'd be a little bit better. 19, almost 2,000 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 8 picks. Completion percentage is, it's good, but he I don't know, he just doesn't have that it factor. And I've been waiting to do this because there's been a couple quarterbacks that are him, the 2 freshmen I mentioned earlier, Raiola and Nico. There's been some guys that are overhyped. I think they're overrated, they're overhyped, and Beck is not. I mean, at least those 2 guys are freshmen, Jay. There's hope for them the next couple of years. Beck's a veteran. I mean, we shouldn't be in this position with this guy. And he didn't really do anything special last year. What do you have? 24 touchdowns? He's not putting up a monster fucking 35, 40 touchdown season. He's not putting up a Burrow Tua kind of year. He's not even as good as Stetson Bennett. Eli, say you are high, so I'm high on life. You damn right I'm high. Yeah, free as a bird. No.
I guess for me, to think about, Carson Beck was a guy that was pretty much high at, well, I mean, when we think about these, the SCEs, the SCE is going to be a more, fluent, it's going to get the spotlight and stuff like that. And here we are, Carson Beck's going to be in the spotlight. We kind of mentioned each time we kind of have we talk about some of these guys that, they put the spotlight on these guys. And, a guy like, Cameron Ward, he didn't really have a spotlight last year. He was, with a pretty much a Pac-12 team that was, if you think about it, they were kind of mediocre. They kind of won, they won games here and there, but he transferred out and he went to Miami, and now look at it. I mean, he's getting more, spotlight than Carson Beck in general, so now it's going to come down to, hey, is Ward better than Carson Beck when we talk about the quarterback position?
Zero hesitation. Yes. Shedeur, yes. Cam, yes.
Is he better? Is he the kid from Old Miss? Jackson Dart.
Yeah. I'd take Yeah. If I was an NFL team, I'd take Jackson Dart over Carson Beck. Absolutely. And then Ewers, him and Ewers are probably, because they're having similar trajectories. Only Beck's not going to get benched for Arch damn Manning. Arch, it's coming. Arch is taking that spot. But yeah, I don't see people calling out Carson Beck. I don't see, because Georgia's winning, number 2 team. I get it. But it's not because of him. A lot of it's that defense. Defense, great special team. The rest of the team is really, because even Trevor Etienne, the running back, is kind of, he's kind of blah. He's like,
yeah,
he's the guy.
He finally had a good game this last weekend, and he put up
he looked good against Texas. Yeah, I'll give him.
Yeah, so he put up some points finally. He finally actually kind of gotten it. I didn't really. I've been trying to kind of watch some a little bit more Georgia games, but I mean, I've been more kind of just watching other different teams in general. None of these high end game. A lot of these more talked about games. I rather kind of watch some more of the smaller teams, but when you think about Bulldogs, it's like, yeah, they should win, whatever, blah blah blah. I hate talking about teams like these because they have so much spotlight all the time that it's boring to talk about because there's it's always the same thing. Well, the Bulldogs got a good team this year. How are their wide receivers? I mean, it's kind of the same bullshit stuff that ends up getting talked about. It's yeah, they're gonna be in the spotlight all the time just because the media put them there. It's
That's another
hard.
thing. That's another thing with their NIL budget. I mean, their receivers aren't really good this year. They're really not. You always think of like AJ Green and George Pickens. You think of guys like that. You think of Georgia, but I mean, they don't have anybody like anywhere near that level this year. So I mean, that might be affecting Beck a little bit. I'll give them a little bit on that, but this is Georgia. They got a huge NIL budget. I mean, you can shore up any of your problems. I know the depth is hurting for a lot of these bigger programs, but still, like, you should have some better high end players. I'm sorry. I got to do this. I'm sorry. I got to do this here. This is bad. This is a problem. I should probably specify. This is probably just for redraft year-to-year leagues. Dynasty. I mean, there's still plenty. At least 2, possibly 3 years of Nico at Tennessee. So I don't see him transferring. I mean, Tennessee's got plenty of NIL money, and why would you leave? Josh Heupel's good coach, good program. They just beat fucking Alabama, so there's no reason for him to go. But he, like Carson Beck, I think he's been vaulted up. He's a little too big for his britches. He's been vaulted up and pedestalized, and people. Oh, Nico! You had people after the first couple games, Jay, that were saying he was the best quarterback in the country. I'm like, fucking Pete thinks I'm high. I think the rest of these, fucking pundits are high. I think the rest of these YouTube content creators are fucking high. They don't know what they're talking about. No, so I put just to back this up because people will be looking at me funny, like, okay, Eli, I get DJU. I get the way Ollie's been playing. I get that. But Nico, really? You're going to go there? Yeah, I'm going to go there. Weeks 1 to 4. Look at that. Completing almost 70% of his passes. He was averaging like 223 yards a game, 7 touchdowns, couple picks, but young rookie, going to make a few mistakes. Guy gave you something in the rushing game too. 117 rushing yards, a touchdown. And he was putting up good fantasy points. In head-to-head, he was putting up almost 22 points a game. Conversely, the last 3 games, he's been shit in the bed. I know they've been winning. I know that they're still in the playoff hunt. I get that. But the last 3 weeks, only completing like a little bit less than 50% of his passes, averaging about 173 passing yards a game, 1 touchdown in 3 games. I mean, that's pathetic. I even saw a stat. He's got 3 fumbles. Jay's got 3 fumbles, 1 lost in the last 3 games. Rushing yards, 62. He's not giving you any touchdowns. So
he's got five fumbles on the season so far already.
Yeah, so he's coughing the ball up. Interceptions, he's got 4, which isn't terrible for young freshman, but still, like, he's got
only 8 touchdowns. 9, yeah. Only 8 touchdowns and one.
I had to dig deep into this because people people make it seem like he's better than like Carson Beck. People make it that just the name, the program, you think he's actually better than he is. But like for us, this is a fantasy show. This isn't like I'm not giving any extra credit because you just beat Alabama or because you're a higher end SEC team. I get it, but this is a fantasy show. You've been shit in the bed. You need to be called out for it. And I think I've been benching him. I have him on one of my teams too, and I've been benching him. I can't start him. I mean,
yeah, I might have to. I have him in a league too.
Nico is unplayable right now.
I think so. I mean, just looking at his record here, 20, against Bama, 20 points. Florida, 8. Arkansas, 9. Oklahoma, probably Oklahoma, 18 points. Kentucky only 18. Kentucky is very beatable. He should have had more than 18 some odd points. But I guess that resorts to what I mentioned here with the kid Raiola, rookie. He came out guns blazing, pretty. He hasn't had a shit like under 10 points fantasy, but I mean at least we can say that these guys are freshmen. They're still learning offenses and stuff like that. Maybe Nico may be a little bit more on a national spotlight. He's a little bit more out there than what Raiola might be. But Nebraska, they're all right, but they're not really been hyped up. Like most of these bigger SCE teams and stuff like that. So I mean, maybe more expectations with Nico out there that with the talents and stuff that they do have, he should be playing better.
This and this is a very friendly blacklist, by the way. I think I need to, I need a dead graphic. I need instead of the fucking logo there, I need a skull. I need a nice skull at the end, for people that are like dead to me. Like DJU is dead to me. Even you can be redeemed here. And this is we're very forgiving here at Out of Rhythm. You can be redeemed, and Nico could pull himself out of this. We don't know, but it's been the rules of the game. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. Three bad games in a row, and you're going to get called out. So I mean, he could go out, Jay. He could go out and maybe put up, like he did at the beginning of the year, maybe a 300-yard, 2 or 3 touchdown game, and then I'll shut right up. But right now it's just I can't play him, can't use him, and you agree with me, and I think other fantasy owners do too. Enough of the negativity, though. Is it waiver time?
I think it is waiver time.